Ladies and gentlemen, there is even more snow coming in tonight and tomorrow morning. And behind that is absolutely nasty Arctic air heading our way. This weekend, prepare yourself now. This week has been crazy in terms of weather. First, we had that big snow on Monday. And then we're having more snow again tonight into tomorrow. It was 60 degrees, then it snowed the next day. Due to our changing climate, we're going to see these wild weather swings around here. And we're going to see more Arctic intrusions around here because they say the Arctic air across the United States is caused by global warming. Because as our planet warms, the Arctic is warming twice as fast as the rest of the planet, which means the temperature difference between the Arctic and the United States has shrunk. And that means that polar vortex is not as strong as it used to be, and it split and it spilled down on top of our country. As the Arctic warms, the chances for extreme cold in the United States goes up. All the warming up in the Arctic is freezing us down here in the lower latitudes. Some parts of this country are about to be colder than it is in the high Arctic. Some parts of the lower 48 is about to be colder than it is in Alaska. Well, this is what happens if you warm up the Arctic, is that we are freezing down here in the low latitudes. Because the polar vortex is not as strong as it used to be. The temperature difference between the Arctic and the United States of America is what sets the jet stream up. And when that difference shrinks, the jet stream is not as strong as it used to be. And the very, very, very cold air doesn't stay trapped in the Arctic. It makes its way into our country, making millions of Americans miserable. The polar vortex has weakened the past couple of years because of warming up in the Arctic region. It has weakened, and that means we're seeing more extreme cold outbreaks than ever before, even in a warming planet. Before you ask, oh, global warming doesn't exist because it's very, very cold out there. As you look at the planet as a whole, there is more red than blue. We're seeing more record highs and record lows. We're seeing more extreme heat across the planet than extreme cold. I mean, the past year has been one of the warmest years on record in 2021. I mean, the planet is overall warming, even though we're getting this extreme cold right now in the United States. The United States only takes up half of the globe. You need to look around the world. A lot of places are warmer than normal. So the planet is warming. The extreme cold that millions of people across this country are feeling doesn't mean global warming isn't happening. I mean, that is a debate that people talk about every winter. Is that when this extreme cold comes, they say, whatever happened to all this global warming? Look, in fact, global warming is causing all this extreme cold. The reason why is because as the planet warms, the Arctic is warming faster than other parts of the planet, which means the temperature difference between the Arctic and the United States has shrinked. And that means the polar vortex, which normally is supposed to keep the very, very cold air bottled up in the Arctic, has made its way out of the Arctic region into the United States of America. Look at what Texas went through last winter. I mean, Texas went through this Arctic blast last winter because of global warming, because of warming up in the Arctic region. That's what caused this mess in Texas last winter, because of changes in the Arctic. I mean, warming up in the Arctic means we are going to see extreme cold south of the Arctic region. Is that we're going to see extreme cold in southern latitudes. And while warm air is transporting further north. A lot of the sea ice up in the Arctic has melted last summer, and it's still not growing this winter. I mean, Arctic amplification has caused a lot of extreme weather across this country, especially during the winter. They say extreme cold is very likely if the Arctic is really warm during the winter in the eastern United. They say extreme cold in the eastern United States is very likely if the Arctic is very warm. Yeah, I mean, why is it 50 below in the Dakotas right now? Why are we seeing 50 below wind chills in the Dakotas right now? It is because the temperature difference between the Arctic and the Dakotas is not as great. That's why we're seeing all this 50 below zero in the United States. Those are temperatures you associate with the North and South Pole, not the United States. I mean, 8 years ago, this polar vortex came up on the news when we had this Arctic blast that closed down schools here due to cold. No snow, but just due to extreme cold. And it was so cold that the governors closed schools throughout their entire states this time in 2014. I was only 9 years old at the time. I was 9 years old when that Arctic intrusion hit. And I remember schools being closed, no snow, but just a bitter cold Arctic air around here. It was so cold in Minnesota at that time that the governor in Minnesota canceled school for all Minnesota students because it was too dangerous for them to go to school in Minnesota. Because it was too dangerous for kids in Minnesota to go to school at that time. Even though people in Minnesota are used to the extreme cold, it was just too dangerous even for people in that part of the country. And schools in Wisconsin were closed at that time, and some schools in Illinois were closed at that time because of the extreme cold in the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. I mean, in 2019, it was so cold in the Midwest and Great Lakes region that they had to stop mail service due to weather. So it could get rather dangerous over there if the polar vortex spills down into our country. I mean, Trump was saying when these deep freezes hit, he was saying, what happened to global warming? Because he doesn't believe in global warming. I mean, a lot of people that hated Trump back in 2016 and 2017 saw what Biden has done to the country, and now they agree on Trump on what they say. I mean, be careful up in the Dakotas in Minnesota right now. Because because the weather up there is not a joke. And we are going to get more snow over here, which means school is going to be closed again tomorrow. School was closed this entire week due to the weather. This weather has left a big mess all across this area. I mean, I hope things can go back to normal next week, and I hope there's no weather headaches next week. But, unfortunately, is. There is another weather worry I have to go through. Cold. I mean, this winter weather is going nowhere anytime soon. We are not going to get out of this pattern until April, the way it's going. I mean, this winter started out relatively mild. I mean, the first 2 days of this year were warm, but after that, that's when winter really started to tighten its grip on our area. Can't wait for winter to be over, so am ready for summer. We still got the rest of January to go through, then we have February. Can't wait for spring and summer. I mean, this winter is already bad in the Midwest. I mean, we had a nice warm December around here. After the nice warm December, now we have all this snow in January. This is just like 2015, 2016 winter. That it was warm during December, then we had the big snow in January, and school was closed for a week due after it. We're heading into that direction, 2015, 2016 winter. Winter Storm Jonas in 2016 left a big mess in this area. It caused a lot of school cancellations, flight cancellations. It stranded many people on the roads. I mean, it was a bad storm. It was bad. This one, I mean, Snowmageddon was very bad. So, ladies and gentlemen, please prepare for the next storm that is heading our way if you live in this area. The last thing we need is more snow. Still yet to clean up from the last storm that happened on Monday. Schools are still closed today because of not many roads being cleared, making it dangerous for students to walk and get to school safely. Student safety is not a joke. It has to be taken seriously. So they're just waiting until things get better, until they open the schools, because it is not worth it to risk your life to go to school on icy roads. I mean, they're waiting because, remember, you can't go to school anymore once you're dead. I mean, they are closing schools to prevent students from dying in this weather. In this day in 2015, school was open even though there was snow on the ground. And that was the wrong thing to do because that put students' lives in danger. They didn't care about student safety then. Not a joke. Thankfully, we were in Jamaica when this happened. I mean, this weather is not a joke. You have to take it very seriously. It is not worth it to risk your life to go to school in the snow in this area. It's not worth it to risk your life to go to school on roads that have not been plowed. They're just waiting until things clear up so everybody can go to school. Because remember, you can't go to school if you're dead. So they're taking extra precautions, making sure that no one dies on the roads. Bye.